Hello everyone, this is Jasmine, aka Gladiatorinsweats, and I'm here with an overview of the White Wind Wavespell that begins September 17th and ends on the 29th of this month as well. So, I want to thank all of y'all returning as well as anyone new that is tuning in. I'm always so appreciative to have y'all here and to be able to just commune with everyone. So, yeah, just jumping into it, this white wind energy, when we really just get to the nitty gritty of what this means or really what it speaks to, at least for me, when you just think of our breath and we think of spirit, really these three key words describing of this white wind communicates spirit and breath. So, just as I was talking about, when you think about your breath, not as a way of being able to communicate, but as a way of being able to regulate yourself, being able to bring yourself to a sense of peace or center within your body. And even just thinking of spirit, where there's this quote, and I have it written down. Well, not really a quote, but it's quoted from this book that I was reading. Like the wind, spirit is an invisible force witnessed only in elements through which it moves. And so that's exactly what I feel here. Again, of spirit is something that is more felt, not necessarily that you're seeing with your eyes, as something that is felt through our other senses. And again, through being present, but also again, there's this sense of stillness that I feel here, that I also feel here with this breath of just being within a very rhythmic flow of things, but just being in balance and harmony. But I also feel again with this communicates of being able to transmit or transmute the non-physical into physical. And pretty much exactly what I mean here is really even being able to take what it is that we've been thinking in our thoughts, all of these things that we've just been ruminating on, and being able to vocalize them in a clear and a concise way, with people that we're around, or even with ourselves, being able to kind of put things in a perspective that we're able to understand, we're able to accept things. But yeah, let me see if there's anything else particularly about this white wind energy before I just get into the specific details about the shifts going on. So yeah, that's really what I feel here. Where you can really boil it down to these three components here of being able to not just communicate, but how we communicate is what also shapes our realities and our relationships with other people. So there is this healthy exchange that we're learning, healthy energy dynamics, where we're able to really convey how we feel, again, with a sort of clarity. There's a balanced intimacy here. And I feel like this is all tying into us, coming into Libra season, of Venus also being in Scorpio, but also just this Plutonic in Scorpio, just shadow aspect, also as Venus has been in her shadow period when, as she moves into this retrograde period. So yeah, there is all of this part of us having to really deal with, the way I'm picturing it is just kind of us really having to work through the knots. And as knots often are, they're not very simple. They're usually very complex. It takes more than just what I'm thinking is, especially for those of us with super kinky hair, and when we're having to detangle our hair, or when we have these 2-strand or double strand, whatever you call them, knots, and you're having to comb them out. You can't just, you can just rake them out and with force and no real sensitivity, but for one, it definitely hurts that way, but two, you cause a lot of unnecessary stress on your hair and on your scalp, and you create a lot of unnecessary breakage. And so maybe this seems like a very weird metaphor, but this is definitely what I feel kind of resonates here, is like we're learning how to really work through a lot of kinks in our relationships, or even the way that we do relate to other people, without like completely wrecking and destroying everything in the process. It's very it is very like deep. It can be very intense and uncomfortable, and having to learn not just necessarily like a new type of intimacy with people, but of being vulnerable yourself. There's like a innate, or like there's this inherent vulnerability that comes with not just intimacy, but also when it comes to being able to communicate your truths and to create these deeper connections. Yeah. So again, I guess this kind of even leads to, again, with spirit, connecting more with our spirit world, but connecting with our spiritual self, connecting with others on a spiritual level. And again, with breath, this could even just be about breathing consciously to help us calm ourselves, center ourselves, to really refine our senses, but also thinking of also the idea of breathing, really taking the moment to respond before you react, like not just reacting, but taking that breath, taking that moment to respond. Oh, it's 3:33 as I'm doing this. So yeah, so I'll go ahead and read the oracle for the oracle reading that's from the 13 moon synchrometer. So, and I will actually go ahead and put this on screen too. The wind is supported by the earth, navigation, synchronicity, challenged and strengthened by the human, free will and form, and receives hidden power from the storm, self-generation, energy. And so even just within that, the thought of even the wind, the spirit, is supported by the earth, supported by synchronicity, navigation. I think of that internal compass. I think of not just things like our root chakra or like our lower chakras that really kind of ground us, but also that give us a not just comfort, but confidence, self-assurance of knowing that we can do, that we can work through things, like not feeling victim to these situations, and really interacting with them and engaging with them from not necessarily just a quote-unquote higher perspective, but from a space of not just confidence, but of like there's a courage, and then there's just this of knowingness, I guess I feel here with like earth, of just being grounded in recognizing the synchronicities and how like certain people may come back, or certain situations kind of unfold a particular way where it's not just by chance, like where it's like, okay, there's things that we're having to really acknowledge, and it's not something that we're having to really like outwardly go and do. It's something that it'll just be in our reality. It'll just come, or it just happens. Or I guess I just even speak for myself. For just even the past couple of days, a lot of like random things have happened, a lot of random changes where it's like having to really make these like immediate shifts. And it was really just like, wow, like noticing how, it's not really me doing so much. It's me actually really having to allow spirit to guide me, and being challenged and strengthened by the human. I again feel here this is not just being challenged by the quote-unquote ego when we're talking about like free will, but being even challenged by like our form, like what comes to mind is like the temptations of the the flesh, quote unquote, which, I mean, that quote, I don't know, gives me bad vibes, but essentially the feeling that I'm really saying here is we're really having to work with our higher and lower minds. We're really having to integrate, like, everything is carrying this very like Libra energy of really having to find this balance and flow. And as we are saying here with this storm of self-generation, again, I feel this is as we are working through these kinks, and we're just working, not just working through our kinks and our challenges that are helping to strengthen us. Recognizing, like, in this storm, like, it's really this portal where we're really able to like resynchronize ourselves. We're really able to kind of it all just gives me this like feeling of completion as we're really putting in these final, like, not even necessarily like finalizing, like, oh, if something's not like done by this certain time, then it's like cutoff time. But it's like, I guess just to put it in a very like short and simple way, like, things are just really falling into place. That's kind of the way I feel. Is like there's this underlying way where it seems like chaos, but it's all really complex, a complex play. It's all fitting in like a very like meticulous, very just like in a way that it just doesn't kind of make sense, especially when you're in the middle of it. Like, a storm in general is not something that makes sense when you're in the middle of it. You're kind of just kicked into like an instinctual mode, which is, again, that's what I'm really feeling. Like, we're really having to trust not just our intuition and ourselves, but there's really a trusting of life. There's really a trusting of how everything's falling into place, and not trying to resist it so much. Not necessarily because it's like you can't, but there is, like I was saying about what the hair analogy is, like the extra resistance just causes extra breakage. And I mean, I guess that sounds like silly when we're talking about something like our lives, but like that's really, I guess, like how I feel here is like we really not just being gentle with ourselves, but being gentle with others, like really acknowledging not necessarily like this is just a sense of time, but it's like we're really like peeling the wounds off. Like, it's not just peeling like band-aids, but we're really like even peeling, like, not to try and get too graphic, but it's like peeling up like the wounds or the scars or the scabs that didn't even get to like heal right in the first place. So everything's really just getting washed up so we can really get back to this clean slate. And so it's like every time, and I guess everyone is always, or not always, but the question that is on our mind often is, oh, when is this purging going to end? And it's like, I guess even for me, maybe the reframing of looking at it as a purging, like, even for me, it's like I don't even necessarily see these things as purgings, as like we're getting rid of things. Like, we are to a certain extent, but there's a lot of where we're really reframing our mindset, where a lot of what's taking place is not necessarily like removing of other people. Like, it's really going on within ourselves. We're really refreshing our own minds so that we're able to kind of look at what's going on in our lives in a more true perspective. Whether it's good, bad, and indifferent, whether we're able to see something that we thought was good for us and we're realizing it's not so good for us, whether we're realizing the things that we were so quick to try and run away from were the things that were good for us because it was actually something we really need to work through, or everything in between. There is no super black and white way of any of this. This is a general collective thing that's going on, taking place for us in a multitude of ways. So yeah, I'm I'll talk, I guess, more about the harmonics and the codons, or I mean, I guess that doesn't even make any sense to you, but I'll talk more about this stuff, get more in depth as the Wavespell, goes on, as it takes place. But we're really in this realm of really redefining, understanding what love means. Even for these 3 weeks, or it's really these 2.5 weeks, or it's really 2 weeks, I guess, but within the calendar, it kind of overlaps into like 3 weeks. But regardless, the weeks that this energy is carrying my words are all over the place. The energy that these weeks are carrying, that should make more sense. Dreaming evolves love, art awakens love, and purification transmits love. And so all of this even is felt with the cards that I pulled for like the purpose or the goal of this Wavespell. But again, this is all about us, as it is saying, evolving love, awakening love, and transmitting love. This is all about us transforming what it is that we even view love is, not just because society has it all kinds of warped, but also because within ourselves we have our own like personal and individual experiences that have warped our understanding or warped our views of love, and again of awakening love. Again, this is, I feel, of a refreshing of again a new understanding as we've been evolving our love and transmitting love. All of this, I feel, is about us relearning how to give and receive love, which I guess, again, this all pans out to this very Libran energy, which I feel speaks not only to Libra season, but just that archetype of Libra, of things being in harmony, of aesthetic, of that balance between the self and others, and so yeah, like as I've been talking about just in the past couple of days, of this time really being about us reevaluating our relationships, not necessarily in a space of just, oh, these people need to go, this person's not satisfying me. Like, it's not very in a, or I mean, it can be, but this is an opportunity for us to really take the time to view things not just as I've always been talking about it, of everything reflecting back to the self, but even as these cards are showing, it's really giving us the opportunity to rebuild our partnerships and to develop these partnerships and these bonds on a higher heart connection. So we're able to not just release like old connections, but we're able to move past our old beliefs. We're able to move past our expectations and the things that really held us back from being able to give and receive love in a more true or more harmonic way. But this also, requires us having to have new understandings of this emotional intelligence. So, before I just finish up and I read the passages from the cards that I pulled, just want to note some shifts that are taking place, which, again, I'll talk more about these, as we come into them. But within the 13 moon calendar, we're coming into a new moon month. Around the same time, we're starting this new white wind wave spell. So we're also coming into this energy of how can I best serve with this electric moon of service. So it's not necessarily just, how can we best serve, those around us in like our communities or in our families or our social circles, but even ourselves. How can we best, how can we best really put our foot forward after we've had this, the first moon. magnetic moon. It totally was slipping my mind. The magnetic moon of us recognizing the purpose, our goal within this year, and then this lunar moon of recognizing the challenges, recognizing the obstacles, or ultimately, like I said, the challenges that are here to help strengthen us to create the resistance on the path. But not just to create the resistance, but it's able to also give us something to discern from, so that we're able, again, there is that need for the light and quote unquote dark, so that we're able to know where we're going, to know exactly when we're like in resonance with our purpose or with our desires, and when we're not. And so again, as we're moving into this third month, this electric month of, how can we best serve, how can we best best express ourselves, best express our energy. But yeah, so we also have the full moon in Aries. This is actually the full harvest moon in Aries, because I believe it's the full moon that's closest to the equinox. But not just that, I also just feel like this is representative also because of us coming into this Libra season, I believe around the same time. Yeah, so we actually have like pretty much this whole 2 weeks is just going to be a lot of different planetary shifts taking place, as we have the sun moving into Libra, Mercury will be joining the sun in Libra, and then Chiron, since it's still retrograde, will be moving back into Pisces. So all of this, I feel, is there's this forward energy of wanting to rebuild our rebuild our relationships. But also, as Chiron is retrograde, going back into Pisces, we're getting this chance collectively to heal a lot of our wounds when it comes to not feeling connected to source, and comes to not feeling connected to our environments, to our world, to the cosmos. I feel like we're really reconnecting to our galactic selves within not just this Wavespell, but just these next couple of months. As we round off September, we're really having, these planetary shifts where things are locking into place. In October, I'm just like, from what I'm getting, there's just not just a lot of activity, but again, of us like really resetting. Like, we're really getting to like the nitty gritty of like the bare bones. Like, that's exactly like how I can best put it without going too crazy into it. But yeah, that's pretty much it that I have before I get into the passages. So let's go ahead and read those. So for Adventurer's Quest, the qualities are crossroads, mythic call, journey, balance, quest, finding guides and allies, receptivity, initiation, empowerment, rescripting your personal myth, and violet flame. You are at a crossroads in your life. You are receiving a mythic call. This lens calls forth your personal vision, evoking the seated remembrance of your life's purpose. Awaken to your destiny. Have you recently been feeling something stirring, a desire to discover something, to remember something, to become new? If so, you are receiving a mythic call. Expect to be sparked by the memory of a long-felt dream. Call on your allies and guides. Invoke your full dimensional presence and remembrance. All the support necessary for your quest awaits your invitation. In receiving this card, you are being called to create your life script in a more mythic way. Spend time coming to clarity about what your personal myth actually is. Remember, you are the creator. Life does not just happen to you. Examine the parts of your life script that are not working so that you can change and rescript those parts that are not serving your most expanded unfoldment as the hero or heroine of your myth. Start by owning your projections. That is, be willing to look at both what qualities and people you are attracted to and those which you judge and which repel you. Remember also that what appears to be tests and trials in your life are actually priceless gifts and teachings. By looking at your life as a grand adventure, you know that these lessons offer opportunities to grow. Living your life in a more mythic way means learning more skillful means to deal with the apparent tests and trials of the quest. Drawing this card is a call to evoke the potent power of the violet flame of transmutation from the mythic level of your I am presence, to heal and transform any areas of self that you have not yet loved into wholeness. I just have a little bit left to read, but I just even want to pause there because this is just so resonant with what I have been talking about, of us really reframing the way that we're looking at our lives, because it's a lot of things we can't quote unquote control. When we're really stepping into our full accountability and understanding of our multidimensional selves, of our connection to source, of understanding that we are source. I feel like those beginning steps really begin with reframing our viewpoint of our world, of taking those small, not just moments, but like those pieces of our life where we really do feel like out of control, reframing what it is that maybe is being shown to us, or what's being taught to us, or what the opportunity is in that moment, or maybe even what space we're possibly holding for someone else to learn. There's always something that ultimately comes back to love. Even as we was talking about recognizing the areas that need to heal and transform, that we have not yet loved into wholeness. As I was talking about, recognizing the quote-unquote heroes in our lives, as well as those that we are considering the quote-unquote villains in our stories as well, recognizing the importance of both. And even this referral to the mythic call, like when we even talk about like the fool's journey in the tarot, or even when you talk about the hero's journey, just in literature, the idea of our lives where there is there's people that play the people that are supposed to quote unquote help us or support us in a positive way, and then the people that are there to quote unquote antagonize, but ultimately are there to create the friction that we're able to grow from, that we're able to kind of create newness from, whether it's like a new confidence or a new understanding, or whatever it is. So yeah, I definitely, again, start by owning our projections. Be willing to look at both the qualities in which let me say that again. Be willing to look at both what qualities and people you are attracted to and those which you judge and which repel you. And again, that's something I've been talking about recently, but these are all things that I've been integrating in my life for a couple years now, as I've been really doing all of this work, all of this self-mastery work on my energy body, on my emotional body, of recognizing the mirrors that play into everything. The recognizing how people don't just, rile us. We're not just victims in our life. We're not just like, oh, that person's just picking on me. Oh, people just pick on me because, I'm like, that can be the story that we can play, but if that is disserving, if that is no longer not just resonating, but like if we can recognize that creates not just harm for ourselves, but maybe that's just not even true. And it's like, ultimately we know it's not true when we really get in those moments of like righteous anger, of being like, you know what, I've had it. Like, I'm not going to allow anything to make me feel this way. We're in, like, that phrase of something making you or making me feel some way. That's something I've been really working hard on, and that's ultimately what's, I feel they're talking about here a little bit of, like, the victim complex, or this victim consciousness of, again, thinking that life happens to you. It doesn't, not understanding or recognizing how it happens for us, or it happens with us, or it is us. So through our life, things happen and they play out in a way that we often don't understand in the moment, and are often not meant to understand. Even whenever you watch your favorite movie or read your favorite book, the character doesn't know everything. If the character knew everything from the beginning, there would be no story. And so that's really the part of it, of understanding, we are in these stories for a reason. There's got to be a reason, and maybe the reason doesn't make sense to us all the time, or maybe the reason isn't completely apparent, but maybe just acknowledging the fact that there is a reason is helpful. Maybe acknowledging that. And I mean, this isn't something I'm saying brand new. This is, I guess, the ultimate, like, promise that religion is supposed to assure people, right? Is that, everything happens for a reason and all of these things. But I don't want to, posit it as everything happens for a reason, in a sense of, like, you have to remain in, like, a full positivity. But acknowledge, like, being real with yourself, being real in the moment, like, being present means that when you are picking up on these energies of anger or frustration, allowing yourself to kind of be angry, not necessarily to react out of the anger, but allow yourself to feel things, allow yourself to be present. So this means in all the ways, not just running from our past and in those types of ways, but even the future, where we can feel like we're so scared of what's going to happen next because we don't have a plan. Like, the future is in every next now. So it's, I don't know, I hope this is ultimately making sense, but because I'm starting to feel like it's not, let me just finish this up. You are being drawn into initiation, asked to embody all you have learned. Acknowledgement and empowerment in this initiation can come to you in the form of a joyful embrace with a fresh start, a new tool, a skill, or a creative surge, or in any number of other ways. Celebrate these gifts in your heart. When you do, they will naturally be recirculated to others, and you, in turn, will find renewed energy, purpose, and commitment to fully living your adventure. What aspect of self, emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, needs to be brought into better balance in your life? Receiving this lens is a call to walking in the mythic quest of your life with more balance. To do this, remember the adventurer's quatrain. Stay in present time, let it be all right, keep on walking, watch for the lion on your left. That's kind of funny. But even this last part, as I've been talking about this, we're being brought into this initiation. We're in this transitionary period of returning to our real, truest essence of being, where ultimately, I guess, the collective is waking up to the story. Like how I think I talked about in a past video, where it's like, imagine if, like, I think there's been movies where, like, the actor breaks the fourth wall. Oh, that's probably what the video was. Breaking the fourth wall, where you're waking up out of the dream. You're waking up out of the movie and being like, oh wait, I'm an actor in this. And not just that, but it's like, oh wait, I executive produced this. Oh wait, like that's kind of like what's going on here. For some of us, it's happening much, like a lot, like rapidly. For others of us, it's moving maybe slowly, with the pieces slowly coming together. Or maybe for many of us, like we're, just now having our quote unquote first feelings of spiritual awakening, and it's like starting to see, but it's like, I feel like this is like, I feel deja vu, or like I feel like this, like where you're kind of just starting to not really resonate so much with your life, because it's just like I said in the video, if you haven't listened to it, go check it out, where it's like you're just kind of like, whoa, like, wait, where am I? Like, wait, who am I this whole time? I've been doing this, wait, why? Like, it's there's just so many of these like TV concepts that I wish I could think of like an exact show, but it's kind of just like where you're like, wait, where am I? Like, am I in the wrong? And it's not, for some of us, is maybe not so much like of a shock, but it's like whoa, like sometimes like I'm not really feeling so grounded, and really this is us grounding into what seems quote unquote new to us, but it's really old. It's really the most truest of self, of who we are. And I think that was, excuse me for the page turns, but yeah, I think that was really it. And even again, of it talking about the ways in which we share our gifts, the ways in which we give of ourselves, and how that reciprocates just naturally, because that's the universal law of things. But that's really the interconnectedness also of this experience. So to round this off, I will go ahead and read the passage. This one's much more short and sweet, even though, I really do enjoy that passage. That passage really, again, resonates with what I've been talking about, as well as with this white wind wave spell energy, this Libra season that we're moving into, as we're moving into the fall equinox for us here in the northern hemisphere, but I believe it's a spring equinox for y'all in the southern. But yeah, gonna go ahead and finish it up with this passage here for this Four of Cups. So this card confirms that what you've been building is now firmly established with a strong and solid foundation. You deserve this, and it's time for you to harvest the rewards for your efforts. What you sowed, you now can reap. Be open to receive, as you've worked hard and given so much. Allow the universe to give a little back to you, for there has been an even exchange of giving and receiving in order to prime the pump of gratitude and reinforce the law of attraction. Using the more traditional meaning in tarot, this card represents a period of celebration, peace, and prosperity. It may also imply a marriage or the buying of land or a new home. As you enjoy this time of relaxation that you so deserve, know that nothing remains stagnant and the winds of change are always at your door. And so here, I feel like this is resonant about, again, when we're talking about this purpose and goal. Well, the first card that I did pull was the Adventurer's Quest, and then I pulled the Tarot Oracle next. And so I feel like this is about this, speaking about this goal. The goal is being this emotional foundation and achievement where we're able to reap. We're able to actually, harvest from not just the quote unquote hard work, but from the love that we've been giving to ourselves, to others, the work that we've been putting into our relationships. That's kind of what I feel here. Is like there's, the work that we put into our relationships is, what's the quote? The quote that I actually had last week that I had for an affirmation for myself was the grass is greener where you words are all over. The grass is greener where you water it. And that's exactly what I feel here is being spoken about, is not just in our relationships, but just in general, that what manifests is where you focus your attention, where you put your energy, where you focus your intent. So that's exactly what I really am feeling here. So to round this all off, this one is a little bit long. Thank you so much if you've listened to this all the way through in the first place. But I am doing this one a little differently, where I pulled cards for the entire wave spell already ahead of time. So the bottom of the deck that I have here is this Queen of Swords in reverse. So I do feel this is, again, about us recognizing where we're not seeing things in this true nature, we're not seeing the truth. The discrepancies are becoming more and more, I guess, apparent or more obvious. And so that's what we're working through. We're working through where our beliefs are not true, where we're really working to really clear our emotional creative blocks so that we're able to fully love. We're able to be more compassionate, but we're able to feel more safe and secure in the world, and being vulnerable with ourselves, being vulnerable in our relationships, and with our emotions. So yeah, I believe I hear my daughter in the back, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for, again, tuning in, and yeah, just taking the time out to listen. I hope that this brought some sort of clarity, or that it brings some sort of insight into the next 2 weeks as we're entering, again, this White Wind wave spell that begins on the 17th of this month and then ends on the 29th. So yeah, check out the description box for additional info of how to reach me. And oh yeah, also I wanted to mention that I've also put out a new reading, or a new session, and this is going to be focused on star lineages. So I'm actually going to put out a video later to kind of go a little bit more in depth to talk about what it is and why, and how you can go ahead and book a session with me. But you can go and check out that info yourself if you'd like to, at my website. Again, the information will be all in the description box, so do check that out if you feel called to. Otherwise, yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday, or not just a wonderful Sunday as the day I'm recording this, but a wonderful next couple weeks as we're finishing up September and we're moving into fall officially and moving into Libra season. So, as always, oh, and yeah, before I do really go, do follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm posting all of the daily content now, just because the way that I'm just reworking my content, quote unquote, schedule, if you want to even call it that. I'm putting more of the daily content on Instagram, so do follow me there. Again, links to this stuff is in the description. So yeah, before this gets too much longer, I send you guys all the love and wish y'all many blessings as always. And until the next video, bye.